Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. So Tesla is choosing to do the slow drip method of information release today, putting out a short video on wireless charging for the Cybercab. I will briefly touch on the numbers we see in the video, but just keep in mind, by the time this technology actually enters production roughly 2 years from now, they could certainly be different. In the video, the Cybercab shows up with a 35% state of charge and it says 56 minutes remaining. Now we can guess this is an LFP pack, so you can charge it to 100, but is that 56 minutes to 80%, 90%, or 100? If you scrub forward a bit, you see a charging speed of 25 kilowatts. That does not mean it's the max, it's just the max in this video. This means conservatively, if you charged for 1 hour at 25 kilowatts, you would add 25 kilowatt hours, and we've been told Tesla is aiming for at least an efficiency of 5.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Multiplying those two together would give you a range addition of 137.5 miles. I do think it's reasonable to assume a 40 kilowatt hour pack, at least based on this video, because if it shows up with 35% state of charge, that's 14 kilowatt hours. Then you add the 25 during that 1 hour of charging, which would take you to 39 kilowatt hours, which would check out charging from 35% to 100%. And a 40 kilowatt hour pack at 5.5 miles per kilowatt hour would be roughly 220 miles of range. Naturally, everyone wants to see really fast charging speeds. There are some other companies out there that tout charging speeds for wireless charging of over 100 kilowatts, but remember, what you can do in prototype form versus what makes sense putting into production at scale are often very different. Plus, as long as Tesla can get to the point where they're making enough of these Cybercabs and there's plenty of them available, then the charging speeds are not that important. It is true that most trips for this vehicle use case are going to be shorter when it comes to distance, so the occupants are not going to be in the car waiting for it to charge. They'll be charging between trips. Just keep in mind those numbers I shared do assume a steady charge rate of 25 kilowatts, which is definitely unlikely up to 100%. It's just that right now we have no idea what the charging curve will actually be like. And don't forget, as Monroe pointed out and the Cybertruck owner's manual shows us, the Cybertruck does have inductive charger headers, meaning the Cybertruck has a much easier path to becoming wireless charging compatible. Dating back to early last year, we covered the Tesla and Wiferian story at length. Basically, they bought this wireless charging company, kept most of the employees and engineers, and then ended up selling the rest of the company. Given that, there are some people sharing information from Wiferian's website, and it may be a decent benchmark, but we have to remember Tesla kept all of their engineers in-house to come up with their own design. My point being, over the past 2 years with these Wiferian engineers in-house paired with Tesla engineers, they may have come up with something even better. But with that context, for what it's worth, on Wiferian's website they have 93% efficiency and a 40 millimeter position tolerance, which is 1.58 inches. Naturally, there will be questions like, what about in areas where it snows a lot? But remember, where Tesla's going to be deploying these first, California and Texas, that's really not much of a concern. After 3 whole quarters, the Foundation Series Cybertruck has finally come to an end. On the Tesla configurator right now, you'll find the all-wheel drive version available for anybody to purchase at $79,990, which in theory should qualify for the $7,500 credit. However, right now it only qualifies for the commercial option. When you click on Edit Savings, we do not see the option for the personal tax credit. And if you go to the fueleconomy.gov website, you'll see that the only Tesla vehicles that are eligible are the Model 3, X, and Y. As of October 17th, the Cybertruck is not on the list. I know a lot of people are wondering, wait a second, what about the 2 million people that supposedly had reservations for this vehicle? Personally, I was always expecting to cut that number in half because that many people are likely not serious to begin with. Plus, we have to remember when the Cybertruck was announced in 2019, they said there would be an option available for $39,000. So for a few years, while people were reserving this vehicle, vehicle they were expecting to have that price available. We've already talked about inflation over the years and the illness and everything that caused with pricing and why it's not realistic for Tesla to offer that price that they did 5 years ago. But I think you get the point I'm trying to make here. A large number of those reservation holders are still waiting for a more affordable vehicle, more affordable than $80,000. And we'll see what happens in the weeks ahead when it comes to delivery windows, but at least right now they're saying expected delivery between October and November for both variants. For the Foundation series, these are estimates, but in Q1 the number was 3,100, followed up by 10,900, and finally 16,600 in Q3, so likely Tesla ended up selling just north of 30,000 Foundation series models. Just a heads up, the FSD transfer program is back and active right now, but used, leased, and Cybertruck vehicles are not eligible. Joe Tetmeyer said he had a friend that was told he was going to be able to transfer FSD from his Model 3 to his Cybertruck, but at the time of delivery, he got denied. It looks like there's some confusion even amongst Tesla employees, so if this applies to you, just be aware. And now we get to wait and see what a $20,000 price cut for the Cybertruck will do to demand over the next few quarters, and hopefully soon the personal tax credit is available as well. Now the Cybertruck is being criticized by several European road safety organizations for its design and size. This after it was registered by a private owner in the Czech Republic. These groups are criticizing the weight of the Cybertruck and its crash absorption. They're saying the Cybertruck's non-existent or inadequate crash absorption brings unacceptably high risks to all other road users. Due to the self-certification system which operates in the US, the Cybertruck has never been crash tested by any public authority, when in reality Tesla's in-house crash testing is often even more advanced than those public authorities. And don't forget what Tesla said, it's not about the size of the crumple zone, it's about how you use it. When in a high-speed collision, Cybertruck's front underbody casting is designed to break into small pieces. This helps reduce the occupant impact by absorbing and dispensing energy. So yeah, this criticism from EU safety regulators would go squarely into the FUD bucket for me. Tesla makes some of, if not the safest vehicles on the road, and that's not going to change with the Cybertruck. So if you guys haven't yet gone down the rabbit hole of how internet service providers and most companies are trying to track our every move online, I'd encourage you to do that as soon as possible. So just briefly, if you guys would like to support the channel, a great way to do that is to try out Surfshark VPN, the sponsor of this video. Surfshark uses AES 256 encryption, which is one of the most sophisticated protocols in existence. They also have a no logs policy, so not even Surfshark has a record of your online activity, and they use RAM-only servers, so no data is being stored in physical hard drives. And important to note, this policy has been audited by Deloitte. Surfshark drastically limits what information anyone can see by encrypting all of your online activity and personal info. Plus, Surfshark offers a lot more than just privacy. It can unlock new libraries of content and help you get better deals on flights and hotels, while also removing unwanted ads all over your browser with the Clean Web feature. They also allow one account for an unlimited number of devices. So if you'd like to take your privacy back for you and your family, you can head to surfshark.com/electrified to get an extra 4 months free. The link is below. Tesla has updated the website with a We Robot landing page. There is a dedicated blog page too, where they share the video of the event and some more information on autonomy and the products unveiled, also giving people the option to opt in to learn more about Tesla products. Today, NHTSA has opened an investigation into 2.4 million Tesla vehicles equipped with FSD after 4 reported collisions, including 1 fatal crash last year. This preliminary evaluation is the first step before NHTSA could seek a recall. NHTSA said it was opening the inquiry after 4 reports of crashes where FSD was engaged during reduced roadway visibility like sun glare, fog, or airborne dust. This covers the entire Tesla lineup dating back to model years 2016. NHTSA is reviewing the ability of FSD's engineering controls to detect and respond appropriately to reduced roadway visibility conditions. The agency is asking if other similar FSD crashes have occurred in reduced roadway visibility conditions, and if Tesla has has updated or modified the FSD system in a way that may affect it in such conditions. NHTSA said the review will assess the timing, purpose, and capabilities of any such updates, as well as Tesla's assessment of their safety impact. To date, the reporting is that there have been 2 fatal accidents with Tesla vehicles that have had FSD engaged. Oftentimes we complain about NHTSA, but ahead of our autonomous future, these investigations are not necessarily a bad thing, because simply put, it does push Tesla to find and fix any problems that exist. And as we've known, the glare and weather elements are going to present challenges for a camera-only system. I think this one's pretty interesting. Indonesia is now planning to export nickel-based material used to make EV batteries to the US next month. But not only that, they said we will export precursor to the US by next month to Tesla. Here's why this is interesting though. As it stands right now, the US does not have a free trade agreement with Indonesia. But April of last year, we talked about Indonesia was planning to propose a free trade agreement for some minerals shipped to the US so that those companies can benefit from the IRA credits. You may remember for a while, Indonesia has been trying to attract investment to the domestic market in Indonesia for processing those materials rather than exporting it out. But Luhut Panjaitan did say now we're proposing a limited free trade agreement with them being the USA. The deal was supposed to be similar to the one that the United States signed with Japan. And just real quick, that deal was signed in March of last year. And that limited agreement covered lithium, nickel, cobalt, graphite, and manganese. Continuing the timeline, in November of last year, the US and Indonesian governments committed to developing a shared critical minerals action plan with the goal of establishing a minerals-free trade agreement. But at the time, the 2 presidents did not publicly offer a timeline for when negotiations would occur or when the FTA would be finalized. And there's already been pushback on this because producers in other nickel-rich nations like Canada and Australia have concerns about an agreement, not only because it would draw attention away from their mineral markets, but because they also see it as a way for Chinese producers with Indonesian investments to circumvent IRA rules. That's because in May of this year, we learned that this free trade agreement with the US and Indonesia was facing an uphill battle. One of the primary obstacles was Indonesia's policy on nickel exports. For the last 4 years, Indonesia has enforced a ban on the export of unprocessed nickel ore. For a critical minerals deal to be considered, Indonesia would likely need to ease or entirely lift these export restrictions, a move that could prove politically contentious and economically infeasible for the country. If there's a silver lining here, it's that these special considerations involving limited free trade agreements like with Japan have allowed the country's inclusion under the IRA without the requirement of congressional approval. But a key point here, the Chinese currently have a large dominance in the Indonesian mining sector. Major Chinese firms injected $3.6 billion into Indonesia's nickel industry in the first half of 2022 alone. So Indonesia's supply chain dependencies on China carry numerous implications for US interests. Back to the article today, it's fair to ask how Tesla got Indonesia to bypass their nickel export ban. It certainly may have something to do with the stage or the type of nickel precursor that they're actually exporting, but that's just my guess. However, one of the main takeaways, the more supply chain resources Tesla can redirect directly into the US bypassing China, the better. But as far as I can tell, there is still no free trade agreement between the US and Indonesia. In case you missed it, many Tesla owners both in the US and Canada are now getting free 30-day trials of FSD. And yes, even the users that got the free 30-day trial the first time are still getting the email again. Nat Friedman, who's a fairly well-known tech executive and investor, said, "Tried the latest Tesla FSD today in rush hour traffic and I'm very impressed. It handled congested, high-speed merges better than I would have handled them. No mistakes the whole drive home. Very smooth and less overcautious feeling than before." To which Elon said, "Cool." Nat was on version 12.5.4.1. Kyle Connor from Out of Spec, somebody I have immense respect for, had very positive things to say about the GMC Sierra pickup. He said, "I love my Cybertruck and my Rivian, but if you want to do any sort of long-distance towing, here's the best EV truck for that kind of truck stuff." And honestly, I really do like the look of this truck a lot. Up to 440 miles of EPA range and a 200 kilowatt-hour battery pack.
Dude, it's got everything.
Yeah.
It really has everything. It has great driver assistance on pre-mapped highways. It has a serviceable sound system. It has a nice interior. It's the value is just unbelievable in this. It's $100 grand. which is a lot of money for a vehicle. But just think about the battery capacity you're getting here and the charging performance you're getting here. It is a work truck in the sense that you can tow with this thing long distance. Now, I wish it had a front charging port instead of a rear charging port. A lot of my criticisms around Silverado EV carry over here, but one thing is for sure, they just threw a ton of batteries into this truck and sent it. You know, nice interior, fairly okay ride. It's heavy, it drives heavy, it's got rear steer. All of these things kind of come together to make a unique driving experience. I wish it had steer by wire, but it's almost not even worth nitpicking all the little things. I think I said this with the Silverado review. Like, even if this truck has some issues with it, which every vehicle does, and this certainly does, there are no other electric pickup trucks on the market that can do what this does or Silverado. I'm gonna go ask them to give me a value on my Rivian right now. Not even joking.
Wow.
I really love this truck. So it's one of those things that just has the range, the charging, and it's freaking awesome.
Overall, sounds like a quality truck. You love to see the competition. It'll keep Tesla on its toes, and more EVs for more people. On LinkedIn, Tom Drew, a Tesla employee, said, Australia, new Tesla supercharger in Border Town. But this one is unique, as this is the first prefab site in the Asia Pacific region, which reduces hardware installation time from weeks to days. I was actually a bit surprised to hear that this was the first prefab install in Australia. I'm not sure why it's taken so long, but hopefully this trend continues in the APAC going forward. The White House is putting pressure on Stellantis to reopen and expand production in areas devastated by past plant shutdowns. The UAW is claiming Stellantis has failed to uphold its agreed upon product and investment commitments, and they're threatening strikes. One factory in question is in Illinois, and Stellantis has said they're delaying some of those investments, but they reaffirmed it's committed to creating jobs and supporting U.S. communities. Plus, Stellantis has also filed 11 lawsuits against the UAW and local units, accusing the union of violating its contract by threatening to strike over the delayed investments. Exhibit A of unions making cost-cutting efforts that much more difficult. Just a heads up, with the Tesla software update 2024.38, you can now use Spotify with a free account. There are of course some limitations, but you no longer need a premium account to use the app. Zach on X shared a text exchange with a VW dealership. All you need to know, he was trying to get an out-the-door price on the VW Taos that he had already been in to take a test drive in, but as I'm sure some of you can guess, the dealer representative refused to give him any type of quote via text. They hemmed and hawed, trying to get him to actually show up at the dealership for a vehicle that was on the lot for over 300 days. A prime example of dealership behavior, and I say this as somebody that worked at a Honda dealership for 3 weeks years ago. I trained for 2 weeks and then quit after 1 week on the job once I realized how those places really operate. And listen, no disrespect or judgment to anybody out there that works at a dealership, it just certainly was not for me. This is a great story of how Tesla Powerwalls and solar are making a difference after the recent hurricanes. There are still hundreds of people in Asheville, North Carolina that don't have running water. This Samaritan's Purse company said thanks to solar panels provided by Tesla, we're now able to power them without relying on diesel fuel and generators. This company has these portable water filtration systems that typically rely on diesel or gas to run. But now in partnership with Tesla, they're using Powerwalls and solar. I'm not sure if Tesla is providing this equipment for free. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they were, but this solution is bringing drinking water to thousands of people that desperately need it. A PSA, Ford just put out a bulletin asking its customers to stop using the Tesla NACS adapter. They said your adapter has been identified by Ford to have a potential issue that may result in reduced charging speeds over time and in some cases charge port damage. In response, Ford will be sending out a replacement. Rivian is now in a legal battle with Bosch, one of the world's biggest automotive suppliers. Bosch is claiming Rivian refused to pay $204 million in reimbursements after Rivian axed its e-motor supply deal. That's when Rivian brought the production in-house. Rivian accused Bosch of reckless failures in its motor supply contract and blamed it for production shortages, resulting in 30,000 fewer vehicles made in 2022 than planned. So Bosch has sued Rivian for breach of contract, and Rivian has sued Bosch on the same day, also alleging breach of contract. A judge has scheduled the next status conference for the lawsuit to be February 3rd as they go through discovery. A heads up for Apple users, there is a new version of the Tesla app with some minor updates. Tesla stock closed the day at $220.70, down 0.09%, while the Nasdaq was up 0.63%. 10%. It was yet another quiet volume day for Tesla, trading about 27 million shares below the average volume the past 30 days. Don't forget, if you would like to support the channel and more importantly take your privacy back for you and your family, you can get those 4 free months of Surfshark using my link below. Hope you all have a wonderful and a safe weekend. Please like the video if you did. You can find me on X linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.